Pleasant good morning, one and all. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to today's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Wednesday, the 19th day of March in the year 2025. Welcome, welcome. I hope you had a wonderful night, a restful night, and you're looking forward to a productive day and a productive remainder of the week. So welcome, welcome, welcome to this day that the Lord has made. Another beautiful day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. Many persons have not been this fortunate, so we ought to always give praise and thanks for being in this wonderful land of the living. Now, many students, schoolyard, this program was scheduled, exactly 7 o'clock this morning, and as is expected now, people were here. Students were lining up to get into the yard, and when we went on the open the school door a little while ago, people are in the classroom. Now, let me again offer at the beginning an apology. You know, these things happen. I explained to you, I have no real control over it, or we do not have control. You sometimes are kicked out of the studio, and then when you get back in, the first set of people who came into the class or came into the yard are left out. Well, this morning wasn't all that bad. I think the first 6 persons who came into the schoolyard are no longer listed on the chat. But, you know, I make notes, so I'm going to announce who those persons are. So, yes, and share the life, let them know. You know, I discover now that people are anxious to be here in class on Monday. But then on Wednesdays, I don't know for whatever reason, the numbers are not all that. But in any case, good numbers, but not too much the Monday number. And I know people are going to log on. People have called, people have said that they found last Monday's program to be, or last Monday's teaching to be very, very informative. And the records show, when you look at the number of students who were in the classroom, and when you go to YouTube to see the number of persons that have viewed that episode, it is very, very encouraging. So yes, and in order to encourage us, as we tell you, share, give us a thumbs up to show your appreciation, and we are going to come and we're going to bring you the credible, valuable information. I need not say this, but I would. My colleague is already in the studio, my colleague CC, ready and waiting to bring you the credible, valuable information. And in keeping with the usual format, we're going to do the roll call, followed by the announcements, and then we're going to go into it. And again, I should not say what I would say it. We have lots and lots of things to tell you today, lots of stuff. Even though we had so much on Monday, the place is so, what we call it, very dynamic, very fluid. So things happen at a flash, and we are here to break it down and to bring it to your attention. So yeah, sit back. Take your vantage point, take out your Cokes and your popcorn or whatever you have. This is one class you're allowed to have snacks in, you know. You know, normally in a school, teachers will tell you can't eat, you can't drink during the class. Well, we allow that. So relax and be informed of all that is going on. And as I indicated, the first 6 students, I scheduled the program at exactly 7. And I noted the first morning was the man from the hills. He come down from the hills very early this morning, Balhead. I was in class at 7, also at 7. Vibert Lawson was here. Aubrey Pantlis from Canada was here as well. Desiree from Georgia and Charlene, they were here at 7. Others came in at 7 as well. But those that I just called are not listed as the first set on the chat. The first list that you have on the chat here will be the man from Petersall. Let me pull it up. Anthony from Petersall, then it was Wayne, Peter, Leon, Moses, John, Derek, Anthony. Anthony and Derek, some of them came in at 7:01, but shortly thereafter, Sandra, Courtney, then it was Puran from Essequibo Coast, Dexter, Kenneth, and Kenneth is from Maryland, Bonita, Ivor, Patricia from New Jersey, Glendis, Benjamin, my Coney man, Malcolm, Pastor Smith came in at 7:05. Then it was Brennan, Floyd, is here with us. Arel Horin from the UK. Cecile, Clarence, Lennox, Derek, Mark is here. 7854 Mark is here with us. Dwayne, Claire, Wayne from the UK is here. Anthony, Valerie, Andre, Princess All from Lamar Springs. Clifton from Paris is here. Lloyd, Michael, Queenie, and Michael incidentally is from Wisma, man from across the river. Queenie, Compton, Ezra, Hazel, Ainsworth, Mr. K is here. Joseph, then it is Hazel, Lynette from the UK. We have people from all over the globe, Paris, UK, Barbados, all around the Caribbean and further afield. Then it was John, Isabella, Connolly, Terence, and Terence is from Canada. Magnell, Lucius is here with us. Rastaman, Dwayne, Vibert from the East Bank is here. Abera, Jerry, then it is Steve, Vashni, Troy, Melinda, Don, when you put the number there, Don, and I remember who you are, 16560. You put the number and I remember you very well now. Grace is here. The angel is with us. Onika, Rosalind, Lester, Sheena, Russ, Ricardo is here. Maureen, then it is Nicola, Sanjin Bade, Roxanne, Patricia, Ronald, Jean, Kay, George, Father Masha is here. Randa, then I'm still in the house. Then it is Fergus, Norbert, John from Tennessee, Ovid, Sean. And Sean says here he is looking at us from Rotornia. I hope I pronounced it correctly, but in New Zealand, North Island. Then it is Rennie, Paulette, Donna, Chilo is here, Danny, Lawrence, Elroy, Rayburn, Tallulah, David, Tuana, Melville, the man double X is here. That's Carlo, 10933. I remember Carlo very well from back in the day at the TSU. Darrett, Andre, Mark, Sheena, Denise, the secretary, Alista, Dion, Orville, Roy, Karen, Nigel, Lennox. I can't remember, say Clyde, I can't remember seeing this person before. If you are a new student or if you are new in commenting, welcome. Paulette, Alvin, and then it is Lyndon, Carol, Kian, say he was out for some time, but he's back. Cedric, 8219, Danny is here. Shamlin, Allison, Nigel. Those were the people in the schoolyard very early. And then when the school door was open, we have Charles, he has taken back his number one position. Abu from Essequibo Coast is here. Trifosa, Dion, Joyce, and the list goes on. Lynette from Barbados is here with us as well. Orta is here, and we have Cecile. Now, lots of students. So that's the roll call. Let me make some announcements. We start, as we say, with the sad ones first. We talk about deaths first. And a follow-up, we told you about the death of retired Assistant Commissioner and former Director of Prison, Welton Trotz. We'll have some updated information. He will be cremated on Friday. I think on the last program we said Saturday, but now Friday the 28th of March, he will be cremated. A wake will be held on the 26th of March at the Joint Services Housing Scheme Community Ground. And there will be a church service at St. Sidwell's Anglican Church, Whittington Road, from 11 a.m. on the 28th. St. Sidwell, remember, is Whittington Road, just south of the coffee, we call coffee. Just south there when you head into Lodge, St. Sidwell. So that is where the church service will take place, 11 o'clock on Friday. And we learned last night to be exact, of the death of a serving member of the police force, a woman assistant superintendent, Althea Scipio. I understand that she was ill for a while, and then the sad news came last night that she passed away. I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to the relatives, friends, family, children, all of these people of those who have died, and to say that I hope that the good Lord will give you the strength to pull through this difficult time. I remember Scipio well. She was in the force, and then I think she had resigned. And then after, I don't know how long, but then she came back in. And I understand she fell ill, and she died last night. So again, condolences to the members of the force as well. We did tell you sometime too about the death of Aunt Marge Martin, the wife of retired Deputy Commissioner Al Martin, but we don't have any further information about the funeral, and we are going to bring that to you as soon as it is available. Now for the happier announcements. Well, before we go on that, again, I said we're going to keep reminding you of Sergeant Vaughn's death. Sergeant Vaughn, Police Sergeant Vaughn, was shot and killed on the 12th of March, 2024. So it is over a year. As a matter of fact, now it's 371 days today since that sergeant was shot and killed. No report from the police force as to who is responsible. Not even an indication that there is going to be an inquest to determine if anyone was criminally responsible for his death. We know that they did say it was by accident, where they claimed that someone of his colleague, they reported that the constable was placed under close arrest for this killing, and they said it was an accident. And I say, the fact that the postmortem showed that he had 3 bullet wounds, it's difficult to explain how that was an accident. But they have remained silent. They have remained silent. Even the family have not been kept up to date with what has taken place. And moving on, the birthday today is the birth anniversary of a woman Deputy Superintendent Diane Black. She's observing her natal day today. And also a former member, countryman, and friend of mine, Denzel Hamilton. He is celebrating a birthday today as well. And a student who is here, the man from Paris, Clifton Stewart, is celebrating tomorrow. Celebrating his birthday tomorrow. I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who are celebrating today, who are celebrating, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future, all the best of your natal day. May the good Lord continue to smile on you, give you health, strength, happiness, and prosperity. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for his opening, and then we are going to get into it. Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome.
Praise the Lord. We're in the land of the living to do God's work. Congratulations to those persons who celebrated their birthday. Clifton from Paris, I don't know how you say happy birthday in French. And also my sympathy to the friends, relatives, children of Althea Scipio. I know her well. I recruited her, and then she subsequently left the job, and I think she rejoined. And I believe 2 persons will be in mourning. Audrey Small and Lorraine Saul. Because when I conducted the junior officer course, they were on that course, and they were real good batchmates, you know. So my sympathy goes out to them. And in relation to that police sergeant Vaughn who was killed, I understand up to now the relatives have not received the normal death benefits, the financial death benefits. Something amiss is going on with the investigation, and then even with the death benefits.
Yeah. And talking about going back on this, you mentioned Audrey Small. I noted on social media that Audrey is in mourning too. Her aunt passed away. I think it was yesterday. Audrey's aunt passed away. So Audrey, all condolences to you on the passing of your aunt. Now, moving on. On Monday, we told you that the Trinidad and Tobago had a new prime minister, Mr. Stuart Young. And some places are different. So Stuart Young was sworn in as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago on Monday. And we learned, I think it was yesterday, it came out that the Trinidadians and the Tobagonians are going to the polls on the 28th of April. So there's going to be election on the 28th of April in Trinidad. Meanwhile, in a place called Guyana, it's this year, but that is being kept very close to the chest. You don't know when we will be going to the poll. But in Trinidad and Tobago, new Prime Minister, because remember, Dr. Keith Rowley stepped down, and the new Prime Minister was sworn in on Monday. 2 days ago. And by already we hear when the general elections will be held. Trinidad and Tobago is on the April the 28th. You know, I saw somebody made a post this morning, very respectable journalist. I think he operates out, he's Guyanese, but now he operates out of Trinidad. And he said maybe the Caribbean, Guyana included, should be like the United States when it comes to election date, is that it should be in the Constitution what day you should have election, right? But I know that's going to happen. I don't know that it's going to happen, but it should be there. So you know clearly what day, not the incumbent using that as a weapon, and then they wait and they call snap elections and get the opposition, not fully prepared and all that. I subscribe to that view. You know, I saw the thing on social media this morning, and I subscribe to the view that we should know every 4 years or every 5 years, as in the case of America, you know, every 4 years, November, I think it's the first Tuesday in November. You know what is the day every 4 days. You know that. So you can make your preparations all along. But this Westminster style thing, you wait and the incumbent wait, and then the last moment, they stick it on you. In the meanwhile, the incumbent know, you know. So they've gathered the resources, they get everything, and they get what I believe is an unfair advantage. This is not about politics, but I thought I'll make the observation for you students. And I would love to hear your views on it. Love to hear your views. So Trinidad will go to the polls on the 28th. Trinidad and Tobago, we must add, the Twin Island Republic, and on the 28th to elect the new Prime Minister. Let me bring in Mr. Kami to make a comment on that. CC, Trinidad going to the poll. New Prime Minister Monday, and Wednesday now we don't know when they're going to the poll. Your views?
Apparently, they have a good voters list, you know, an accurate voter list, so they can call it anytime. Unlike Guyana, where the voters list, I understand, it might get more people on the voters list than Guyanese, than persons living in Guyana, you know. So, and unless they really clear up that voters list, they're going to get a problem. But yeah, the president mounting up himself that they're going to hold elections when it's constitutional in June. Well, let's see what happens. But they need to clear up the voters list before any election could be held in Guyana. But I'm saying perhaps Trinidad has a very good voters list and an accurate one.
Yes. So we just start, you know, we bring you these pieces of information to keep you abreast and keep you informed. Credible information. Talking about credible information, you will all recall, well, I shouldn't say that. Let me tell you, I'm going to the Police Sergeant Bascom, who made some startling revelation about corruption in the Guyana Police Force, most specifically the Major Crimes Unit. He went on social media and made some revelations. And then what happened? Even though, given what was said, he could be considered a whistleblower. No, they didn't do that. They didn't protect him as the law requires for you to protect whistleblowers. They went after him viciously. Cybercrime charges. 2 charges in Georgetown, where they claim that he used a computer to cause stress and distress and also emotional distress to 2 members of the force. And then he had 2 on the East Coast as well. On the East Coast is, I think the complainants there were Superintendent Mitchell Caesar and Sergeant Cuthbert. Those were the 2 complainants on the East Coast. Now, the 2 charges in Georgetown were dismissed. And in January of this year, Bascom was convicted on the 2 charges on the East Coast, where it is alleged, where the complainants, the virtual complainants, were Caesar and Cuthbert, right? Now, the police corporate propaganda unit reported promptly on the conviction of the sergeant and go into a long story how he get convicted. Now, Bascom, through his attorneys, moved to the High Court for a judicial review of because what should happen, he was convicted, and then I think a probation report was ordered, and then he was to go for sentencing. But before the sentencing could come up, Bascom, through his attorneys, moved to the High Court for a judicial review of the magistrate decision and all of that. And I am pleased to tell you that yesterday, Tuesday, the matter came up before the judge, and the judge ruled in favor of Bascom to throw out the conviction. Because what he did, let me read some of the thing. He filed a judicial review. They say Bascom filed a judicial review. One moment, I want to give you all the credible, accurate information. He filed a judicial review and for administrative orders. And it was between Diane Bascom and Richard Frank, Inspector of Police, or Worship Magistrate Fabio Azor, Vigilance Magistrate Court, and the Attorney General. Those were the respondents. And basically, the application is made by Bascom seeking the following orders. A declaration that the criminal complaints made against Diane Bascom, filed by Richard Frank, Inspector of Police, dated 14th day of September 2022, for the offense of using a computer system to humiliate a person contrary to Section 19.5A of the Cybercrime Act number 16 of 2018 is null and void. B, an order certiorari quashing the decision of the magistrate, of the Lord Magistrate, made on the 15th day of September 2022 to regularize the filed criminal complaints. C, an order quashing a decision of the Lord Magistrate made on the 17th day of January 2025 at the Vigilance Magistrate Court to convict Diane Bascom for the criminal offense instituted on case jacket number so. An order of prohibition prohibiting the Lord Magistrate from proceeding to sentence Diane Bascom pending the outcome of the application. An order setting aside the sentence imposed by the Lord Magistrate in relation to the said conviction, such orders as the Honorable Court deem fit and cause. Well, yesterday, the judge handed down the decision, and she agreed. I have not seen the decision, but based on what I am told, the Bascom prevailed. So the conviction has been set aside, and is no longer convicted. I'm making this point because this thing happened, and the Police Corporate Propaganda Unit has not said a word about it. They haven't said nothing. They jump out, when he was convicted. When he was convicted in January, big thing, the thing, big thing. Now the man, a police sergeant, he's still a serving sergeant, sought judicial review, was successful, not a word from them. Not suspect now that they talk, they might come out with something later. But they did not proceed with the usual alacrity when something goes against certain people, right? So we're going to bring these things to your attention. So congratulations to Sergeant Diane Bascom. And let me watch and see what's going to happen. Because I know the trend is now, when these things happen to certain people, they run in, say they're going to appeal, and they do all sort of legal gymnastics, right? All kind of legal gymnastics they're going to do. But as of now, Bascom is freed. He has no conviction against him. And let me wait to see what's going to happen. Under normal circumstances, he would have been reinstated into the force and get the full pay and all that, because I think now, once he was interdicted, charged and interdicted, he would have been on half pay. But now that he has been vindicated, they should have moved with breakneck speed to reinstate the man and give the man the money and so on. But we will watch and we will monitor to see what is going to happen there. And I would not be surprised if you hear the appealing and they're dragging out the case. They're dragging out the case because they have been vindictive. They have been vindictive. Bascom made certain revelations, and up to now we can't hear what is the true position of that. Remember, they brought in RSS and asked other people say, kind of crap, the RASS, or as some people say, when it is the Regional Security System, RSS, but some people say that vowel is left out. Right? They brought them in, and they decide to go after Bascom to the point where they extended squatter and the crime chief, they called a hurry press conference to debunk, that's what they said, to debunk the allegations made by Bascom in relation to arrest the people and all of that. And that backfired spectacularly in the face. And something has happened, because since then, I don't think the squatter, who is now the commissioner, has had another press conference. And that is over 2 years ago. Not a single other press conference, right? Somebody bring him Mr. Conway, I'm sure you would have seen that Bascom was successful in his judicial review of that matter. Your views?
Yeah, I'm happy that, Bascom had the guts, the spine, the backbone to ask for a review, and I'm happy with the review where they quash the thing where he was convicted and was waiting to be sentenced. So I'm happy about that. And then I recall too, as you mentioned, and we got to mention it again, is that after Bascom made certain damning revelation, the conformed squatter and the crime chief hurried in breakneck speed. They held a press conference to debunk what Bascom was saying, and they failed miserably. Since then, no other press conference. And the thing is, that the man made revelation. Instead of them working along with him to see, whether he was telling the truth, whether, there's any credibility in the story, they hustle to debunk. And maybe they don't look at history. I remember another Sergeant Swapico, that shook up the NYPD, that they had a NAPS commission and they shook the very foundation of the thing, and he was only a sergeant. And then on down under, they had a woman, a prostitute, shook up the New South Wales Police Department, a prostitute, or what we call a strumpet, or what was Parod mentioned, a woman gave evidence and shook up the New South Wales Police Department. The thing is, a person might be of what we may consider ill repute or thing, but what they're saying is the truth. And you got to do proper investigation. You got to investigate it. And it's something that those policemen who have been wrong, who have been bypassed by the illegal, the unconstitutional Police Service Commission should take note. Here is it. A sergeant asked for review, and he won his case. And there are blatant thing where the Police Service Commission is unconstitutional, it is illegal, it cannot perform any functions, and it's still, and those people who are affected, they remain silent. Perhaps they want to pass through and Conway for fight for them, but we won't fight for them. We put it on the table, and it's them for move it from there. They gotta be man enough like Boston, and carry it to court and fight for action, because the action would be justified if they fight for it.
Yeah. They got to take up the case. So congratulations to Sergeant Bascom. Let's watch and see. Let's monitor and see what will be the development in that matter. Another court matter yesterday, some of you might not know this gentleman, Leland Saul, retired lieutenant colonel from the Army. He was there at the Central Housing, CEO of the Central Housing and Planning Authority, that same position that the man Graves, Sherwin Graves was in the news recently, where it was revealed that he gets some big properties the man bought overseas. And the question was asked, where would a man who was occupying that job get the type of money? The property was listed on the website for $1,949,000 US, and it is said he bought it for 700 and something. And people say that quid pro quo, because when you look to see who he bought it from, questions were raised. Now, Leland Saul was employed there, and when the government came into power in 2020, they dismissed him, like they did so many others. He was dismissed. He challenged it in court. He challenged his dismissal in court because he had a contract. The contract, I understand, based on what I read yesterday, at 29 months when he was dismissed. Well, yesterday, the Chief Justice ruled in his favor, found that he was unlawfully dismissed, and ordered the government to pay him his 29 months salaries and whatever benefits he was due during that period. Again, we say you got to challenge these things. You can't sit back with all of these unlawful acts and just ducking your corner. So congratulations to Leland Saul on your successful challenge to that unlawful action. You know, we said it, we did it too, you know, when we were in the police service commission and the president suspended unlawfully the commission. We said, no, you can't sit back and take those things. You got to go to the court, let the court rule. And if you have to take it all the way to the CCJ, which is the apex court in Guyana, that is what got to happen. That is a lot. Well, now that Saul has prevailed at the High Court, the Chief Justice ruled yesterday. Again, look out for them saying that they're appealing, you know, because they are that wicked. The Chief Justice ordered or ruled that his dismissal was illegal, unlawful. And therefore, he had 29 months more in the contract. They must pay him for that 29 months with all the things. How much money can come into? But they remember, again, depending on who, because if you recall Quindon Bacchus, when his family moved to the court and the court awarded the estate of the deceased Quindon Bacchus, the man who Special Branch Police shot and killed on the east coast of Demerara in 2022, shot him and killed him, right? The family went to court. The judge, I think, ordered 20 or 25 million something to his estate, and they indicated they moved to appeal that. They moved to appeal that judgment, even though they conceded that the police acted incorrectly, wrongly, and unlawfully. But they believe that $25 million was too much for a young man, a black young man who was shot and killed by the police. So don't be surprised if you're with this 29 months of salaries and allowances and other benefits that Mr. Saul is supposed to get when they're appealing, because they believe certain people mustn't get money, right? Certain people should not benefit from the assets of the state. Certain people must not benefit from all of these things. Only certain other people. And when you talk about it, they're going to vex. I don't care. I will call it as it is. Congratulations to Mr. Saul. And again, let's see where that will go, right? And I think Bascom is making a comment here. He said, thanks to the support throughout the past 3 years, words can't express how grateful I am. Thank you. That is what Bascom is telling all of us students. And again, my brother, congratulations to you. Well, so saying Bacchus estate was $24 million was awarded, and they believe that was too much, and they appeal. Well, I think they intended to appeal, and then the president or somebody said, or I think the vice president announced, no, the state would not be appealing. When the attorney general indicated that they would appeal, then he was shut down at one of those ramblings, I think it was, say, no, the state is appealing. Mr. Conway, I'm sure you in the morning the news you're reading, Brother Saul has been vindicated. Your views?
I know well, you know, my friend, my countryman, we talked a couple days ago, we met, you know, and I'm happy that that he decided to challenge it. We know all along the line it was unlawful, that the minister didn't have the power to really send him home, you know, but, you know, the advice that the minister had wasn't really legal, was more political than anything else. So I'm happy for him. But I know I wouldn't be surprised if they appeal, you know, if they appeal, and even if they might take a long time before if to pay him his money. I remember you had something outstanding, but apparently like a draw, and you remain quiet that you get your money, and they had to pay you some costs. So congratulations to you if you draw quietly.
No, you know, let me tell you, coincidentally, this morning, I got word from the AG's chamber to the SG that my check will be ready soon. This morning, I got word, I got a message from them that my check, there's a cost that the judge, Gino Prasad, awarded me in that matter where we challenged the unlawful, unconstitutional suspension of the Police Service Commission. This morning, CC, so don't rush to this drink. This morning, the chambers, somebody from the chambers advised me that the check is going to be ready shortly. So, you know me, I draw nothing to stay quiet. When I draw, I don't tell y'all I draw. I told y'all I draw my cash grant in breakneck speed, breakneck time. I got my cash grant. But I ain't got the 500,000 that the judge award has cost to me as yet. And you're going to know, CC. At least you're going to know I'm going to pull you in a corner, at least buy a little beer or a shandy for you if it's during the Lenten period.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah. Now moving on. Moving on, the police in the news saw the wrong thing. Police in the news to the wrong thing. We told you on Monday that there was this report where the police said they got information about some drugs in some one of these bonds in a barrel at the wharf. And the police went there. They found the barrel. Special branch, we were told. They went in, they searched, they found these drugs, marijuana, imported marijuana. So they're not buying local anymore. Imported marijuana. And the imported marijuana. And we commented on it because we said that if you get information that drugs are in this thing, one would have thought they would have staked out, what we call a controlled delivery. So you can know who the people are involved in this thing, right? But now they do the move and they seize the marijuana. Well, yesterday, you hear it now that the marijuana, the packets of marijuana, how many packets were taken to Ranville police station and the thing disappeared. all the packets of marijuana, they say now that three ranks, I don't know who the ranks are, what rank, if it's constable, corporal, sergeant, officer, but it's a 3 people were placed under close arrest, I think in term they use, in relation to the disappearance of this marijuana, this imported marijuana from Rhineville Police Station. Rhineville Police Station in the news again. Rhineville Police Station in the news again. I read something on Monday where a man complaining bitterly that the way he was treated, people fire shots, some robbery, and for hours nobody in visit and all these type of things. So Rhineville Police Station, the drugs gone. That is what they are reporting. 3 people under close arrest because the drugs that was discovered in the barrel at the wharf, lodged at Rhineville Police Station, disappeared. But I mean, I want to say this. I don't know how it was lodged and who, but based on what I know of the system back in midday, I know things change. One is lodged in the property room or wherever in some secure place. Is the sergeant or some well, if it's property room, only the sergeant should get access to the station sergeant to that property room. So if you have other people, normally the property room is controlled only and solely by the sergeant in charge of the station. So the question to be asked, where was this drug lodged? How was it lodged? And how it disappeared? Quick time, it disappeared within maybe a week or so, the thing disappeared. But Mr. Conway is a man and said, he knows to solve these issues. Let me hear what he has to say. CC, you spoke about these drugs on Monday. And the next day, yesterday, Tuesday, we know here all the drugs gone. What me, man?
I know. I put my mouth on Ronville Police Station. I say, and I look at trends, look at pattern. Too many issues, too many complaints, too many irregularities we get coming over from Ronville Police Station. We had a case where a man died, they lock up some man who was shot, went to the hospital and come back in the police station and he was shot. And then I said too many things happening there, and maybe they're not listening. They're not listening. That you need, and then they come back to inspections. Inspections, are they doing inspections instead of the conform squatter doing seagull management, jumping by the place and baking that nice and they must do notified inspection. Then is when you're gonna know whether things going right or wrong. Then is when you're able to influence people for them to do the right thing. Here's it, the drug gone. And I think we had a policy that those large amount of drugs, especially when the case finished. Well, the case wasn't finished, it got to go to headquarters to be stored, So the whole thing may be, as you mentioned, the SO in charge of station to take custody of that drugs, unless they must just get it and throw it in the corner there and waiting for it to be properly secure. But something is wrong with Rumbelt Police Station, and they need to take action. And now what happened at Rumbelt? Going up at the station. It is time that they started to get what we call notified inspection. The submarine officer is once a quarter. The commander once every 6 months. And the commissioner, whether it's an extended quarter or not, once a year you have notified inspection. Then you could see whether things are going right or things are going wrong. And you might be able to influence the police to do the correct thing. There is no substitute for inspection. Inspection is an indispensable tool of management.
I put the student at the back of the class. The student make it, he said the weed get weed out. So I believe he got to go into detention. I got put you in detention. He said the weed get weed out. But let me say this. This thing is not to be taken lightly, because it means, therefore, that whoever the people responsible for these drugs are or were, you can't bring no charge against them. You don't get no exhibit. You don't get no exhibit. Where you can say they brought in, right? Something that disappeared, gone. The evidence gone. The evidence gone. And as we are on that, with the evidence and so on, I'm about to show you a tape. But let me warn you, before I show the tape, I'm going to explain parental guidance advice. Viewers' discretion advice. Viewers' discretion advice. With this tape, I'm going to show you. So those of you who have maybe you little squeamish and thing, it's not something with, it's violence, but it's not gore and blood. Let me show you this tape, and then we're going to talk about it at the end. Not long. It's not about a minute long.
Where they get it from. It's mainland, it's a mainland. Swaggle up yourself, you take interrogation. It's a mainland. Make up your mind, refuse the immigration. It's mainland, it's a mainland. And then swaggle up yourself, you take it. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at that hungry child. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at the schools that you never get them education. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at the conditions of our police station. Do you see anything to smile about? No.
Folks, what you saw there, based on what I'm told, I haven't seen any release in the police or in the media about that, but that is an incident that is alleged to have taken place West Demerara, somewhere across the river. As you can see, people violently beating a man. My information is, I don't know how accurate that is, but it is suggested that this man who was being beaten might have injured some female passenger in a minibus. So that is what is being said. Again, there's no official release. This incident occurred, I understand, Saturday night. This is Wednesday, and I have not seen any release about it. But they as you can see, it's blows. One man getting all the blows. They're beating the man. And look, let me show you now again. Watch. This is the man lying there. The man lying there, the same man who was beaten, I understand. And look, this is the man lying. They say they claim this is in the police station. You can see Yatana handcuff. And the man is dead. The man is dead. And I am not going to do like the old guy to find out if the deceased is dead. You know, there's a joke, police joke, the old police joke. The old policeman asks somebody, is the deceased dead? Well, I'm not going to ask that, but this is saying that the man died. It would appear from the blows he got. And it's street justice. It is street justice, which is to be discouraged. The man is said, according to the information I got, this man injured some female passenger or somebody else, West Demerara, and whatever happened, whether an alarm was raised or what, the man was beaten, as we saw there, big set of stick and wood. They beat the man. And my information is that he was taken to the police station, right? And obviously, with visible injuries, them type of lash you get it and so on, you can't escape getting visible injuries. The man was taken, and at some stage, the man was handcuffed. Look him there. Look, the handcuff on his left hand, it looked like. Lying there, dead. And they claim, again, we say there's no official release, but they claim that the man is dead, and they're claiming that he died in the police station. They claim that he died in the police station. So that is what we see there. And again, it looks, based on what we saw, street justice. If the man committed himself, right? He apprehended, you got to hand him over to the police, and the man got to be treated in a humane manner. But when you see them blows raining down, we got to be careful. This society is descending into lawlessness. And perhaps that too is an indication that the people have no faith in the system. People have no faith, so you got to take the law into your own hands, which is a really dangerous development, a very dangerous development. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to make his comment on that. CC, you saw the video there, and you also saw the still photographs. Your view?
Yeah, apparently police not learning, that same Faith Harmony, you understand, is where the man died. There we had a report there, a rape, where a policeman raped a female, a juvenile in the police station. They covered down till it was exposed. So far, nothing, we ain't heard anything about her. And they're not learning. No, a man died in the custody of the police there. We had incident at Letem, where a man who was in custody there, they say hang himself with the underpants. Then it moved to 51 police station in the quarantine, where a man hang himself in the lockups. And then we get one where a man died in breakdown at the Romville police station. And all you're getting is cover up. You might hear OPR investigating. Well, we hear nothing with this one at perfect at OPR investigating. But the thing is the death of a human being. That is the issue. It's the death of a human being. And I can recall, I went to FBI and I did managing death investigation. I got a big thick book at the moment, over 2,000 pages, my manual. Go back to it. And this is what they instill in us in terms of death investigation. I'm going to read it. They talk about the homicide investigator. Here we say, no greater honor will ever be bestowed on an officer or a more profound duty imposed on him than when he's instructed with the investigation of the death of a human being. It is his duty to find the facts, regardless of color or creed, without prejudice, and let no power on earth deter him from presenting those facts to the court without regards to personality. This was Arthur Westweaver, our facilitator, who did managing that investigation. Let me repeat again, because I think it's important. No greater honor will ever be bestowed on an officer or a more profound duty imposed on him than when he's instructed with the investigation of the death of a human being. It is his duty to find the facts, regardless of color or creed, without prejudice, and let no power on earth deter him from presenting those facts to the court without regard to personality. This is why you so instill in my detectives, my homicide investigators, anybody who investigating the death of a human being. This is why you so install in them. And I'm putting this out to those who want to investigate this matter and those who are investigating the death of other person, that you're investigating the death of somebody, and no power, you must let no power on earth detect you, no power on earth prevent you from finding the facts without prejudice or regards to personality. We're going to hear OPR investigating, and there's it. So there's my call out to the OPR or whoever will be investigated. But it's shocking. And a man come in and lockups, come in a police station with injuries. The next thing is that he got to get medical treatment. He has got to get medical treatment. You can't put handcuffs on him and keep it there. In with breakneck speed, you carry him to the doctor or the medical personnel come and look at him. But no, they're going to feed him and he's going down and all sort of questions you got to answer. Persons who are injured or who complain of injury has got to get medical treatment, whether they're bluffing or not. Let them get medical treatment and let us see a medical personnel. Sure, the man must have been there and maybe in their kind of pain and they say, all right, you do nonsense, stay right down there. And there's it.
Well, this thing is sad. This thing is getting to, like again, it lacks, they like to talk about SOP and all that. But the SOP and the force dealing with prisoners, it's clear as to how an injured person or a person who complains of being unwell is treated. The man was beaten, Clearly, you would have had serious marks. You carry the handcuff. The man should get his medical attention right away. And in Guyana now, you could pick up, I guess, and call for an ambulance to come and take him to get medical attention. And the sad part is that you're going to hear, as my colleague said, OPR, that agency will investigate everything now. OPR will investigate, and then you're going to hear anything further as to who is responsible for this man's demise. Now, and again, let me make this point. They should also seek to pursue those people who are beating this man. You get CCTV camera, you get that video that does show, because it is wrong. It is wrong. You cannot descend, and it's not a one man would say it was a one lash, and it's an unfortunate blow, as old people used to say. This is raining blows on this man. I don't know who the man is. I don't know his status, his social status, but that is irrelevant. That is irrelevant. It is a human being. Even if he committed himself, there is a way in which he should be treated. And certainly what we saw there is not the way that person should have been treated. Now, going back to the marijuana disappearance from the Rhineville police station, one of the students did remind me, and I got to mention it, that even though the evidence, all the things disappear, if they are taking samples, to get it tested and all of that, you can very well still get a conviction based on the samples that were taken from these packets, even though you get all the drugs, but you can use the samples as evidence. Yeah, but that complicates thing, eh? That complicates thing, right? Somebody want to see it back and so on. Somebody asking for to see back this beating or this man get. Again, viewers' discretion applies. You see that there, brutal, that old little lash, men lash it with force and so on. Big stick and lash it with force. Now let me move on. Let me move on. Why the call? I don't know if I guess most of you will be familiar with the party game musical chairs. You know, musical chairs. For those of you who aren't too familiar, you get, it's a nice thing, song playing, and then you get what? Let me say if you get 6 persons playing in the musical chairs, you have 5 chairs. And when the music stops, which is just suddenly, you got to also for a chair. And whoever is left standing without a chair get knocked out. So musical chairs, moving around. It seems to me that is what's going on with the command structure of the Ghana Police Force. Musical chairs. I saw yesterday, and I think last night, where there are some imminent movements at the top. Movements, right? I understand that Assistant Commissioner Carly Simon, who was at West Coast Berbice Region 5, is moving to Linden, Region 10. We shouldn't say Linden, because Region 10 is not only Linden, it's Linden, Kokwani, Aichuni. Going to Region 10. So Baled, they're going to get a new commander, I understand. I understand that AC, the newly minted AC Mandal, who I think was at Diamond, he is going to West Demerara. I think he was there before. He's going to West Demerara, Lenora, as the commander of Region Division number 3. Then we have AC Sunarine, who is at Region 3. I understand he going to what they call 4B, which is Diamond. So it's a switch between Mandal and Sunarine, it would appear, right? Then the next thing we understand that Pajram, Assistant Commissioner Pajram, is heading back to Region 4C, Covanjan. Remember the story of Pajram? Pajram was at 4C sometime last year. He had an exchange of letters with the crime chief. Long letter he wrote to the crime chief, called now the crime chief, for the crime chief want to get involved in matters that the commanders that are under the remit of the commander. So they're moving from region. He went and leave, and when he leave finished, they're moving to the special projects unit. From the Special Projects Unit, we learned that he was sent to the Audit and Inspection Unit. Now, from the Audit and Inspection Unit, we understand he's going back to Cove and John. Musical chairs, he's going back to Cove and John. I understand, too, that the man who was there at Cove and John, Senior Superintendent Ewart Ray, is due to proceed on pre-retirement leave shortly. He's due to leave. I think he comes off in July. So he's to proceed on pre-retirement leave. And to continue the movements, we understand that Senior Superintendent Whitwright, who was the second in command at Region 5 at Fort Wellington, he remains now there as a commander. And Stanley, Superintendent Stanley, who was the 2IC at Region 6, he goes to Region 8. That is Region 8 is where Region 8 is Madja, I understand. Stanley, right? Not so long ago, he was at Region 2, where he was holding on for the commander there who got in an accident. Then when the commander resumed, he went back to Region 6. And now he's moving from Region 6 to Region 8. Musical chairs, right? So that is what is going on. Let me make this point. Once you have these type of unplanned movements, well, it clearly shows that when you have to move commanders so rapidly and rotate, they're calling them rotation now, is not transfer or postings. It shows that they don't have a clear succession plan. Can you move a commander and within a year, within months, you got to move again and you move. You're sure that you're not sitting down and planning these things properly. Because if you sit down, if you sit down and you look at it, then you're going to know, say, well, look, you can't put this man here, perhaps that. And let me say this further. It is expected that once you have promotions as they had not so long ago, you will have to move some people. You have to do what we call postings of senior people. Back in the day when I was there, after every after big promotion like the one they had, you'll have what you call a posting meeting. A meeting with all the senior commanders, the divisional branch commanders, especially divisional commanders, the senior people. And you're going to sit down now how to move and decide how you're going to move whom and you're going to move people around. Because I might very well find, based on the promotion, you get 2 assistant commissioner or 2 senior posts. You can't keep all 2 of them at the same place. So yeah, but the thing has to be planned. Because when you're doing that, you have to look to see the age, how long will they get into work, what type of experience they have, and that type of thing. We always ensured that if you're going to put a person as a commander who you believe is not as solid as he or she should be, then you look for someone as a second in command who is well grounded so that the synergies can be there. But now they're just showing people, just moving people like that without those, it is clear, without those type of considerations. So you have to get problems. I remember one of the last posting meetings, I recall it was around 2006, 2007. 2007, I think it was. Because you know when they had the election, or 2007 elections, people who were to then retire within a short time before the elections were kept on, right? They were asked to stay and work until the elections and when things got back to normal. So when things got back to normal now, those people had to go off. I remember people like Mr. Bombury, Clementius Ross, Stuggy Oop, all those people were kept on and they had to move. I was then at A Division, right? And we had a meeting, Greenwest Commissioner. We sat down and we decided, I remember well, because they were giving me one as a 2IC and I objected. Because the man was heavily political and lacked the knowledge. And I said, I want it. And Green recognized, I said, well, look, if you're going to send me at A Division, put me somewhere else as a commander because I'm not working with him as my 2IC. And I prevailed because the man who was going off, my 2IC before then, was Clementius Ross, a solid police. And then this man, I said, no, I don't want him. And eventually, Green caved in, said, well, use the commander, and if you don't want this man to work with you at that senior level, all right. And that is how it works. You sit down so that you can get synergies and you can get the work. It's about not personality, about people's ability to do the work. So they get this musical chairs going on. Let me see. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Ray, because we understand he's going into going on pre-retirement leave soon. Go walk with, enjoy your pre-retirement and your retirement, my brother. You're one of them that they victimized. You were victimized, all because you did your job. And in case people don't know what I'm talking about, in 2020, when the elections were held, Ray was the Deputy Chief Immigration Officer. And they claimed, I think it was the opposition claimed, that people who were out of the country were set to vote when they were out of the country at the time. And the immigration department was asked to provide the evidence, the information, and they did so. And for that, for providing that evidence to show that people who they claim were in the country and voted were not in the country at the time, and therefore could not have lawfully voted, because they had no proxy for them and all this other thing. Victimized. He was one of the names on the list that Robeson sent to API on the 24th of December 2020 to have charged criminally. And then they kept him there. They're around 2 IC apps, they're moving him all around. So, brother, now that your retirement is imminent, enjoy your leave, proceed into your retirement, enjoy. It is nice out there, especially if you prepare yourself and you did not victimize and do people wrong. And I know you, I don't think you victimize and did people wrong. Enjoy your retirement. When the time comes, think you go and leave now, but it's still you're going to be a member of the force until the last day in July. Then you go off into well, you can't say into the sunset, but you go off and you're then a civilian. Enjoy it. CC, physical shaping that we're talking about, and Ray going into retirement. Your comments, my brother.
Well, real musical chair, and like you mentioned, there's no succession planning in the Guyana police force. Just moving out people, and the thing is that when you're going to make recommendations for promotions, there are consequences that will follow. This man will get promoted, so where he's going to go, who's going to replace him, as the case may be. But here is it. They call it job rotation, just sending people all about the place. There's no succession planning at all, none in there. I remember a couple of years, I tell the conform squatter, I say you may be tactical, but you're not strategic. And he says, CC, what I mean by that? I say you're dealing with now. You're not looking down the line. And maybe there's one manifesting itself right now with this leadership. They're not looking down the line. They're just dealing with now and just moving more people like that. Sit down and plan the thing. And plan since you make the promotion, since your recommendation for promotion, then you know who is going to go where, as the case may be. And even though you got to sit down and give it a good plan. And as you mentioned, Paul, I know there's get posted meetings so that certain people would have their say. I know it's a one-man show going on, as the case may be. Or I don't know if it's political decision where politicians say, hey, election coming up, and I want this man in this division, I want this one in this region, as the case may be. So a whole lot of things going on. It doesn't look like, any real kind of strategic plan, and they like that, but it's the bogus strategic plan where they get it. They got to think about, they got to deal with things strategically. Look down the line, way down the line before you make the decision. What are the consequences? Everything you do get consequences. You make promotion, they get consequences. And I see, I don't know if according to what I see there, Region 8 will have 2 superintendents and a deputy superintendent. Because I see any one of them moving out from Region 8 in the thing that came out there. So Region 8 will have 2 superintendents and a deputy superintendent all at the same time.
Yeah, cause of strategic planning, man. Back in the day, I think it was in the 80s. I remember I was a young ASP then. Skip Roberts, the late great Skip Roberts, was commissioned to do what we call a plan, succession plan for the force, who should go here and who should go where, and all this everything. And that was one of my proud moments, because as a young ASP, I was identified to lead the TSU. At them days, lead the TSU, because they planned, they sat down and they planned this thing, but now they're happening. And as Mr. Conway rightly indicated, it appears now, the politicians are involved. So the politicians will say who should go here, who should not go here. We don't want this man here. We don't want this man here. And we have evidence about that. Evidence. I remember there's an officer now, I ain't going to call his name because he might be victimized. He was in Borbies, right, on the quarantine, doing an excellent job. From all reports, he was doing an excellent job. Of course, when you're doing your work, you're going to rub some people the wrong way. Those who are inclined to be involved in criminal activities. And Sarmines was the prime minister then. He went up there on a visit, and people complained to him, this officer giving them a rough time. And it is alleged, it is reported that the officer was called by the then prime minister, say, oh, you are giving the commoners a rough time. The commoners say you're giving them a rough time. And the man get transferred. They transfer the man. And then the next thing you know, the man gets some bogus disciplinary charge, which was there for years. Years. I remember interviewing that man when I was at the commission. And the man said, this matter finished. So the man said the matter finished. When you did the proper research and things, the matter was finished long ago. His disciplinary matters are concluded. And they were using that to say this man got pending disciplinary matters. And we were able to go into the records and see that that was not so. So that is what you're happening. Politicians decided who must go here and who must go where and all of that. Right? And therefore the folks can never be as professional as it ought to be. Never be as professional. Now I've been moving on. We have been promising for the longest while to look into the traffic situation. The traffic situation has gone beyond worrying. See many letters and many things people talk about the carnage on the road. The carnage on the roads in Guyana, and it has continued. About 2 weeks ago, I think it was Tablet News published an article said they had like 26 fatal accidents up to that time. And when you do the math, you're talking about 2.5 fatal accidents per week in Guyana. I don't think the situation has improved because over the past couple of days, I saw where we heard about the one on the quarantine, Kanji, I think it was Sunday night, involving a police, same Stanley that we talk about, his car, right? And what I saw as a former traffic chief, despite what they're dancing, because they're claiming that the vehicle that Stanley was driving was proceeding south, and he's indicated that he put the turn, and this motorcycle, they claim he was speeding without an helmet, rode into the back of this thing, the wheel or something of this vehicle. And my training, and I would tell people that right away, prima facie, that the driver of the vehicle must share some blame. Because if you are driving and you want to change your course as they indicated that he was doing, he was turning, you have to not only put on the trafficator, but you have to make sure that it's clear. They tell you about the blind spot and all of that. You have to make sure that no one is there. You can't change course. You can't just put on your trafficator and change course, and then if somebody ride into you, claim that that person is 100% wrong. No. No. I had this debate some time ago when I was traffic chief with the commissioner in Larry Lewis. There was an accident on the East Coast, I Better Hope, where a truck was proceeding east, and a policeman, traffic man on a motorcycle was about to overtake the truck, and then the truck turned right. Policeman, lost control because the truck jammed, he ran into the trench. He wasn't seriously injured and so on. So the truck driver was arrested and charged, and I don't think they're going to complain to Mr. Lewis, and they called me. And I had to make the point to him, as I'm telling you now, that the truck driver, based on his own statement, because he gave a statement to say that he was going east, and then he indicated, or he started to indicate, and then he turned across. You're changing lane. Once you're changing lane, you have a responsibility to ensure that it is clear to go across. You can't just put on your indicator. How you know that the indicator working? And the people come in there maybe to overtake. Because overtaking is not an unlawful act. How do you know? And I had a discussion, can't say argument, because he was the commissioner, and he had to give in to the thing. So from the very statement that the police are making in relation to this fatal accident on Sunday night involving the Superintendent Stanley, who was then the 2IC at Region 6, he's now going to Region 8. The very statement that they put out tend to implicate Stanley, because the dancing and the dancing. But if he's driving going south, and he wants to turn to go east, as they claim, something like that, you put on the trafficator. You have to make sure that it is safe before you change your lane. And they make big nice that the motorcycle had trade plate and that the man did not wear a helmet. And then they said that the officer, the breathalyzer showed the officer had zero. I know why zero. The breathalyzer showed that the officer they had no alcohol in the system. Who administered the breathalyzer? Who administered the breathalyzer? This is, and let me understand what's going on, you know. This is a superintendent of police. A superintendent of police. The commander there now is a recently minted assistant commissioner. What was his involvement in this whole process? What was his involvement? Because I would have thought that if the commander there, assistant commissioner, hears that his deputy or superintendent get involved in an accident, if they want to be transparent and professional, then he would have some direct involvement in it. But some corporal or sergeant or somebody said they're administering breathalyzer tests. Maybe somebody else blow. Well, you know, Kaiga get read out. Maybe somebody else blow into that machine. We don't know. But again, when these things are treated like that, it gives rise to a lot of suspicion. A lot of suspicion. Right? Because you can't tell me that the man changing lane, and then if you see the explanation from the police, it's sheer dancing. You know, with my experience, with CC experience, when you read them thing, you recognize right away something wrong. You recognize right away. He is changing lane. The officer, according to what they said, the officer is driving in one direction, and he indicates that he wants to change lane. He has to ensure that before he changes the lane, it is safe to do so. And from all indication, that was not the case. But you can see the covering up that took place. Are there cameras to show exactly what happened? He was driving there. Where did he come from? Where did he come from? Was it a rum shop? Was it a bar? Was he imbibing there? Look, there are so many questions to be asked. There are so many questions to be asked. But they are not going to be asked because it's likely to be another cover-up. Well, I'm saying this. You're driving on the road. I drive on the road. When I was driving the road, you're likely to get in. You can get involved, not likely. You can get involved in an accident when you're not at fault. You can get involved in an accident when you're not at fault. We're not saying that all accidents the driver is at fault. But you require a proper investigation and a proper, that release that they gave, the police release that I saw, tells me a lot. And as somebody, I know Stanley. I know Stanley. Know him very well. Since he was a consul or a corporal, I think he was at Brickdam when I was commander there in the registry. I know him very well. And further, I say not. I know him very well. But the accident thing is worrying. Again, apart from that, the 17-year-old son of former Minister Kelawan Lal on the East Bank, during, I think, not so long ago, they're claiming he riding going north in a zigzag manner, lost control, fall up on the road, car must run over he and some other colleague. He died. The other man critical in hospital. So maybe the fact that one of their colleagues, because I saw a picture with Kelawan Lal and the president, and they said the president was expressing condolences to the Kelawan. Maybe now that one of the colleagues, the thing is at home with one of the colleagues, maybe they're going to look to do something proper. I doubt it. Then you had the one on the east, on the highway. They just issue these releases. I don't know if these people understand logic and so on. They're claiming that this truck broke down on the highway. The truck broke down on the highway. And they claim that they put up cones to indicate that there was this vehicle there. They further claim that this driver in this car was speeding and he drove into the back of the truck and he lost his life. All right, that's what they're claiming. But I was astonished to go on to read that the driver of the truck is in custody assisting with the investigation. If you are saying that this truck broke down, they put up cones to warn drivers. This other driver, maybe he was distracted, wasn't paying attention, driving fast, drove into the truck and lost his life. Why is the driver of the truck in custody? Why was the driver in the truck in custody assisting the investigation? I would have thought that in such a case, the driver was going to be made to give a statement, and once he gives the statement as to what transpired there and you're satisfied with that, the man is sent on bail or his own recognizance to come back to if you have anything else to do, measurement to take and all that type of thing. But to say in the release that this driver is in custody, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what is going on. Lack of training, I guess. And then you had, look, Valdez, the old soldiers would remember, I think Valdez was a sergeant in the army, motorcycle knock down on Mandela Avenue, Valdez is dead. Valdez is dead. All this within the past week or so, you know. All this, and what are they doing? You ain't hear nothing. And I saw, let me tell you, CC, allow me got a lot to talk on this thing because it bothers me a lot. It bothers me a lot. I saw one here. Let me read this one to y'all. Let me tell you what I saw. Forget about all the, look, this one. This is on the 4th of March. They say an electrician seeking to have death by dangerous driving charge dismissed after paying compensation. Let me read that back. That's the headline. Starbrook News on the March 4, 2025. The electrician seeking to have death by dangerous driving case dismissed after paying compensation. The article says a 22-year-old electrician who is before the court on causing death by dangerous driving, charge, is seeking to have the matter dismissed after compensating the deceased family to the tune of $1 million. However, when the matter was called before the magistrate last Friday, and the final sum was paid over to the estate of Edward Solomon, the 28-year-old motorcyclist killed in the accident, the magistrate advised that the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions would have to advise on the dismissal of the case. Initially, when the man appeared on Friday, he petitioned the court to have his $300,000 bail be redirected as payment towards a $1 million compensation agreement, but the magistrate explained that for such an arrangement to be approved, the Director of Public Prosecutions would have had to agree to the withdrawal of the case. And then the magistrate explained that once a case is withdrawn, the bail money could be refunded, allowing the man to get back his compensation. Right? Upon hearing this, the man paid the $500,000 balance out of his pocket to Solomon's estate in the presence of his legal representatives and family members, while the court, the decision to compensate the family stems from an accident occurred on April the 4th, 2024. What craziness we hearing here? What craziness? This man is charged for causing death by dangerous driving. And you telling me that the estate or the family can decide, well, give you a compensation, give you a $1 million, and the matter done? That is what you are saying? Who is the aggrieved people? Is not the man who died nor his family. His family is not a witness, or they're not witnesses. This is an offense committed against you can be police versus the state versus this man. So how can you be influenced by the family's decision? Oh, we don't want anything further. We can take this $1 million and be good. It's madness, that is why. And you know, this thing is geared towards the rich folks. Because these people with enough money, especially now that all of these money circulating, a rich man, you can very well understand somebody with resources or somebody close to him get involved in a fatal accident. They can just compensate the family or the man's estate, and that's it. That is what this is saying. Well, it's not a precedent because it has happened before, but I maintain it is wrong. It is wrong. Because you know, some people pour $1 million and say, well, he done there already, and he done gone. You better take the $1 million. But it is more than that. It is addressing a culture of lawlessness. And that is what we have on the roads in Ghana. Culture of lawlessness. And the manner in which the government, the police, and all them dealing with it, you're not going to see any significant change. And let me answer this question from one of my colleagues here. He wants to know if you have an accident reconstruction unit in Guyana. That unit is very important. When he was the traffic chief, he started that unit with assistance from England. Dudley, no. No, there's no such unit in Guyana, no accident reconstruction unit to say exactly you reconstruct to find out what caused the accident. Whether it's bad engineering, whether it's a deficient vehicle, whether the driver, you do a reconstruction to tell you a story, and then you're able to put measures in place to arrange it. But to hear that a man is petitioning the court to have a causing death by dangerous driving charge dismissed because he has compensated the estate of the deceased person is given what is going on in the roads now. At any time, but given what is going on in the roads now, is incomprehensible. How can that be? How can that be? And I go back again to what I said many times before. I remind you all that I was a traffic chief in Guyana on 2 separate occasions. I was there, and the younger ones might not know, but the older ones will know. And the trolls going to come and they're going to talk outside the crowd. But when I was a traffic chief, people would tell you there was some order on the road. There was order on the road. I used to go out there personally in the mornings and sometime in the afternoons and so on, and deal with situations. But them traffic people now, especially the officers, senior ones, they're in office. They're in office. Because I know that there's no work in the traffic chief's office that can require to be sitting down there pushing people all day. When I go up on the road, people will tell you I pick up, I don't know if he's on the thing. Miller was my driver, Patrick Miller. I said, let me spin around the market. Order. This is camper. And then you see, I can't tell the new thing. You will see scooting when people see slow around. Scooting. When I was a Commander Borbies, Commander West Demerara, I go driving going to work, and I'm driving or coming from work at the required speed, at the stipulated speed limit. There, you dare drive past, you dare overtake at over above the speed limit and see what can happen. You dare. We used to get laugh when I come from Bobby, so I cross the boat because I used to be on the gangway. So my car as a commander will come out first. So I'm forced to come out. It's a long line of traffic behind me, got nobody there to pass. And if you only pass, you're gonna get jogging up ahead. But now, police vehicles, people driving dangerously past police vehicles and nothing happens. Nothing happens. God, no respect is there. And even if I'm saying it myself, when I was a traffic chief, them minibus men and these people, they respected me. I ain't asking nobody for nothing, and I enforcing the law. Ask Manzoor Nadir, who is now the Speaker of the National Assembly, because he was the president or the chair of the minibus and the Cars Association, and we had many interactions. Ask Gail Teixeira when she was holding on as Umofre's ministry. I remember once they had a meeting with the minibus people, and the people demanded that I should be present because I'm the man who they respected in traffic. Even though I had moved from traffic then, they demanded that I must be present. But police vehicle driving on the road and people just scooting past. You know, it's scooting. They're only shooting and scooting, but they're scooting past police vehicle. And there's so many things wrong. Again, I say that the government, this piecemeal measures what they're doing ain't gonna make no significant impact. They're amending the law, so driving under the influence of alcohol now, if you're found to be above the legal limit, $200,000. Then there's a big gap in the thing, because what people are doing, at least 2 cases, people refuse to take the breathalyzer test, and then they're fined $30,000. Imagine that. And up to now, they have not moved at breakneck speed to plug that hole. So as it is now, if you are suspected to be driving under the influence and they administer the breathalyzer, if you blow and you're above the legal limit, the fine is $200,000. If you refuse to blow, the fine is $30,000. So what do you think people can do? You're not gonna know too much of maths. But what you believe people can do now is just refuse to blow. So the way you refuse to blow, you pay the $30,000, you're $170,000 ahead. You're $170,000 ahead. So that is what the type of craziness. All right, the law was passed, you didn't recognize that. But since you see that happen, plug the hole, plug. And it should be a case where anyone who refuses to take the breathalyzer test is deemed, the law can deem you to be above the legal limit. Once you refuse to take, the law should be amended to show, to stipulate that if a person refuses to take the breathalyzer test, that person is deemed to be above the legal limit and fine the same $200,000. Fine the same $200,000. So all that I got to look at. We talk about the elephant in the room. I have never heard or seen any one of the government people, any people like the squatter, the traffic chief. I hear none of them address this thing about corruption. They don't want to face that. As a matter of fact, as you know, maybe they are members of parliament and that word is banned from parliament. So they can't use the word corruption. But that is a big part of the system. This is a big part of the problem, I mean. That is a big part of the problem, corruption. They should ensure that every accident we have seen in recent times, a lot of motorcyclists, a lot of young drivers, investigate to find out how they got their driver's license. Every accident that takes place, not only what caused the accident, but go back in the records to see how the person acquired a driver's license. That might tell you a story that might be revealing. That might reveal a lot of loopholes, a lot of problems in the system. And I know the system well. And again, I can come for the truths because the law and the driver system, I designed it when I was traffic chief many, many years ago, since in the 90s. I and a colleague from UG, Simeon Gorek, sat down because the system that they had then was designed for corruption. In that, what happened? They had mandatory classes and they had a limited number of students. Excuse me. They had a limited number of students who could have attended, something like 30. So you had a long list, a long waiting list. And then the thing was said that if you want to get into the class, money had to pass. So we sat down and said, how can we address that? And we came up with this law and driver package where the classes were not mandatory, but you have to do tutorials and all of that, and you could come and think and write. We put that in place since then. That is in the 90s. And it's the same system they're using now, but they corrupt the system. Because when we designed the system, we had like about 4 or 5 different packets for examination. So on a morning, you would go in, on the exam morning, you go into the staff and you take out a random packet. The questions were different on these multiple choice things. So even if somebody was to ask the traffic chief, what questions coming tomorrow, you would not know. You would not know because the packages were there. You just pick up one and that will go on. We had the thing monitoring. Monitor. Officers and so on will monitor the process. You get to the stage where the thing degraded to such an extent that it was reported that in one case, I can't remember the exact number, but let's say 50 persons took the examination. And at the end of the system, they get 70-something papers. 50 took the examination, the law and driver test, but at the end of the thing, you get more people pass than took the test. Corruption. You had a case where a police sergeant and somebody from traffic headquarters charged in respect to the same thing. Of course, they get off because nobody are giving the evidence and so on. Right? So that all of these things have to be looked at. It is time they establish a Department of Transportation or Motor Vehicles, whatever you want to call it in Guyana, to have policemen administering tests and policemen doing practical tests and theory tests, policemen certifying motor vehicle. That is archaic. This is a long system that should have gone out to the window a long time ago. You get money now, invest money into that. And this is Edgil and their ministry. Establish a Department of Transportation to look into every aspect. We saw accidents with 21-year-old truck drivers and all this type of thing. 21-year-old truck drivers. It is madness going on in the place. So I don't know how you're going to expect to have less accidents. Some people say that we are surprised that there are not many more accidents given what is going on the roads. There's a lot of craziness going on the road. A lot of craziness. Look, they talk about electric bikes. And they brought law that they have to be registered and all of that. Drive around the place, you're going to see some of the people, some of the children you see riding electric bikes on the road. You know they can't get licensed, they're below the age. But then nothing is going on. Safety helmet look like a thing of the past because when you look at it, almost every other cyclist no helmet and they're riding past police. And I'm not blaming the police because if you are directing traffic or even if you're in a vehicle and a man passes you with without helmet, it's difficult for you to respond. It's difficult. You can't run behind you. You shouldn't. So it's something that got to be addressed. You got to sit down. You got to strategize how to deal with it. how to deal with it, right? Now, look, let me tell you a next one, because people ask me these questions. Do you know, and this is an argument I had with Gadraj when he was Minister of Home Affairs. Do you know that in Guyana, you get, well, it is not a legal category, you get minibus. A vehicle is registered as a minibus, right? Even though the law and talk nothing, the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act says nothing about minibus. All right. So a person gets, well, you get a car license. You get a car license, right? Listen to this carefully. Do you know that if you have a license to drive a car, you can use that to drive a minibus as long as the minibus is not registered in B as a bus? So if a minibus is registered as P, private, or G as goods, you can use your ordinary driver's license to drive that. I had that argument with Gadraj years ago, because my argument was, and still is, that it should not be what the vehicle is used for. It should be what the vehicle is registered as. So if a vehicle is registered as a minibus, then your license, you must have a minibus on your license to drive. That was my reasoning. But they jump up and they say all sort of thing. And on today, like today, and I raised it because somebody asked me this a few weeks ago. Yes, let me repeat it. If you have a car license, not a car, sorry, a private license, regular license, and there's a minibus registered as P, private, or G, goods, you can use that. You don't have to get minibus endorsed on your license to drive that. That is the type of craziness you have in the place. That is the type of craziness you have. The next thing that I want to bring to your attention to, and this is a caution. Now, if you perchance get involved in an accident, again, people ask me these things and complain. You get involved in an accident and the other party accepts responsibility. Say, man, I rang, I can fix your vehicle for you, and so on. I want no police story, nothing. Be careful. Be careful. You might enter into an agreement, go to some GP and so on, enter into an agreement. However, make sure that you make a report to the police within 24 hours of the accident. And make sure you don't indicate to the police that you do not want any police story until such time that you're satisfied that the repairs to the vehicle or whatever is done to your satisfaction. Because what happened? People get involved in an accident. One party says, man, sorry, is my fault. Because it might be clearly the person's fault. All right, I can repair your vehicle for you. Don't let me go to the police. Don't let me make no problem and so on. I want no police problem. I agree. But through the kindness of your heart, we agree. And then what happened? They disappear. The renege on the arrangement, they disappear. When you run to the police now, there's no record of any accident. And if the police want, they can charge you for failing to report the accident because you have an obligation, legal obligation to report the accident within 24 hours. So I have advised people, yeah, the person said they're going to repair your vehicle and so on, fine. Right? Fine. Go to a JP, get some legally binding document they're going to repair, but do not indicate to the police that you don't want any police action until such time that you are satisfied that your vehicle is repaired to your satisfaction or you're compensated adequately. Then you can go and tell the police, well, look, I don't want any further problem. Right? I don't want a police story. Take my advice. Take my advice. The next thing we talk about safety helmet. Again, these questions are asked about me. When should a safety helmet be worn? Right? As it is now, almost every single motorcycle you're driving, you ought to be wearing safety helmet. Let me repeat that. Almost every single motorcycle, regardless of the engine size, you should be. Because you know what the law says? This is a law that came out sometime in the 70s, catering. The older folks remember P50. P50. This motorcycle thing, this helmet thing, had exempted people from P50. So the law says that once the motorcycle is above 50 cubic centimeter, that's the engine size, CC, 50 cubic centimeter, and is pedal assisted, it has to be above 50 cubic centimeter, and it has to be pedal assisted to be exempted from wearing the helmet. Because I remember the P50 back in them days, you had the engine, and then you could have pedaled it like a bicycle, and that is what it catered for. So now you don't have motorcycles that are pedal assisted. You don't have motor vehicles that are pedal assisted. So therefore, based on that interpretation, and this is something I had a discussion with the traffic chief with Ian Chan, and we agree based on how the law is styled, almost all motorcycles, once you're riding it, you ought to have a helmet. I see somebody say you have 7 days to report to the police. Guyana is 24. I think it's 24 hours. And then production of some documents, insurance, that's some insurance. I think you have 72 hours to produce insurance. So when a police stop you on the road and demand that you produce insurance, no. If you get involved in an accident, you have 72 hours. And then insurance or production can be done at any police station. Yeah, we understand this clearly. Production can be done at any police station. So if Brigdam is investigating the accident and it's more convenient to you to produce at Timeri, let's say, or New Amsterdam, let's say, nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that, right? So we got to understand, we'll tell you about these things. We'll bring these things to your attention. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, because about long. I got some other stuff to tell you about traffic. Then we're going to move on to another issue. CC, no, sorry, let me bring you in here. CC, your take on the accident.
Okay, let's go back to the one in Borbis, that fatal accident where the deputy commander was driving a vehicle, a motorcyclist died. It's a horrible attempt they're making to cover up that story, that accident there. When you look at the reports that I won't call them investigators, the persons who visited the scene and took some measurements, the report that they sent to operation room, and the police report, the police release, official release, vastly different. You're hearing the accident happened at 10:30 in the night. You're hearing the accident happened at 2:30 in the morning. Reports that the man fall off on the grass parapet and then hit his head on the left rear of the vehicle, and a whole set of conflicting reports. Then the breathalyzer. I want to know who really blew in that breathalyzer. Was it the driver? Was it someone in the ranks who was there? And even the instrument. Was it collaborated by the Guyana National Bureau Standard, and when? There's so many things, missing about the place, and so much cover up. Reports coming out, nothing but Stanley, not a word but Stanley earlier, another vehicle was involved, and the police jump in and covering up. And then I know Stanley well, since he was a constable, and more so since he has gone to Borbis. And I could tell you, Paul, he has a proclivity for bar hopping during the weekends and the holidays and doing a lot of elbow bending. I'll stop at that. So when I hear they say the thing read 0, something is wrong somewhere along the line, and it's an effort to cover up. And you mentioned I wish to agree with you that there are times when there are accidents, fatal accidents, and the driver is not at fault. And there might be other accidents where the driver not at fault. When you look at the not at fault, and they're there under police custody, you're keeping them for 3 days, and that really did not contribute to the accident. Now going back to the traffic situation, there is no silver bullet to deal with traffic. There's no one-shot solution to deal with traffic. It has to get a holistic approach, and it has to be data-driven. But what they're doing, they're cocking the figures, especially in fatal accident. They're saying it's an incident. A man fall off a motorcycle and died is an incident. A man hit a bridge with a vehicle and ended up in a trench and died is an accident. Somebody hit an animal on the road with a motorcycle and it dies is an incident. It's not fatal accident. That they cock in the figures. A man spent a month in hospital after accident and they say it's not a fatal accident, that he died because of neglect of medical treatment and all this kind of thing. You see, if the stat is flawed, your response or your reaction to solve the situation will also be flawed. Unless they hide and they ghost in the figures. They say, don't put on this one gonna make we look bad. And this kind of thing, they are ghosting, they cocking the figures. And when you're cocking the figure, your response to the situation will be flawed. The data has got to tell things like date, the accidents happening, the time, the place, what category of vehicles are involved. They got to set up a proper database. And based on that database, you utilize your human and other resources to deal with the situation. That the data that they're getting is flawed, and it's not data driven. They're not looking at trend. They're not looking at pattern. And the thing would be evolving. Sometimes now the minibus might be the persons who committing most of the offense, and then by next week you heard is a motorcyclist, and it got to be involved and it got to be constantly setting it up. The police traffic department has got to get a proper database. I remember when we were doing the citizen security program, they established what ISIS. We had ISIS in Guyana, integrated crime information system, where they employ persons to input information that was sent to Home Affairs, and I didn't agree with the Home Affairs. I told Roy so that Home Affairs, they employ some workers, some analysts, and Roy used to give it medicinally. He used to give us medicinally the information, you know. The information must be in the police, and it must be real time. And the police got to understand reality. Reality is what is happening, not what you expect to happen and what you want to happen. And then when we look further, you mentioned the Jaguar in the room, the corruption that is taking place, particularly with driver's license. I remember Kit Nascimento wrote a report and he said, I let in the press, and he said he's convinced that people get driver's license and they never go behind the wheels of a vehicle. Rohan Singh, retired senior superintendent who was in charge of audit and inspection, they did an analysis and he said 1,151 persons got their license illegally. And he called them, he said they are potential killers. They're not potential killers anymore. They're graduated to real killers. And when you look at the theory test, they got Zara doing it. Zara doing it. And like Zara, they are untouchable. They are paragons of virtue. No kind of integrity testing is done on Zara. No kind of anti-corruption is done on Zara. What Zara give them is that this body pass. Like then get something they call computer fraud. And even they did the practical exercises. You ever see any one of them big trucks being sticks? You see a canter being sticks, and then the man get the license to drive to drive them 18-wheelers and them big truck. And then again when you watch the practical exams that they're doing, few people going to get practical exam, but check with GRA. GRA full up with people who go in there with a competence, and competence that is properly issued by certifying officer. But the people did not physically do any practical tests. And again, the Western Moraro, the deadliest road in this country, Paul. Deadliest road in this country. And with the most serious, the most fatal accidents. And what happened? The office in charge of traffic has recently been promoted from an assistant superintendent to a superintendent. Chaos on the road, and the traffic chief has been promoted to assistant commissioner. That is what happened in that the Dr. Peter principle, they're waking up Dr. Peter, resurrecting him. That They need to have a holistic approach, and we need to face reality. And reality is what is happening on our roads. And they're only talking about fatal accidents. What about the other accidents that they classify? They get serious, they get minor, and they get damage. So it's 4 categories to look at: fatal, serious, minor, damage. But they're not talking about serious accidents. They're not talking about minor accidents. They're not talking about major damage accidents. They're talking about fatal accidents, which they're cocking the figures and say, this is not a fatal accident. This is a fatal incident. And unless they have a holistic approach, it can't work. It's not going to work. They extended squatter, they run about the place and abusing on the traffic men in relation to what's going on the road there. But nothing is happening. And I can recall Starbuck News, and I did throw a thing about 2 weeks ago. And let me read part of what Starbuck News said. One good thing is that there are more police traffic officers on the road, either on motorcycles or foot. The bad thing about their presence is that they seem to be in their own world, minding their own business, which is not necessarily the business that they were put on the road to address. That is, keep a sharp eye on traffic violators, either through speeding, pranks, or whatever others do on the road and put people in danger. The more rules there are, the more there are deaths, injuries, and abuses. I want to quote, before I hand over back to you, Paul. So Robert Peel is considered the father of modern day policing. And he talked about the fundamental principles of policing. And here he said, and this is also back up what Starbuck News saying, the test of police effectiveness is the absence of crime and disorder, not evidence of police activity in dealing with those problems. Transfer that to the traffic. Yes, a lot of traffic men on the road. Yes, they're looking for change legislation. Yes, they're doing anything. But the accidents continue. The disorder continue. The lawlessness continues. So when they're measuring the effectiveness of traffic run, they to decide to come to the conclusion whether or not you are effective, look at the reduction of accidents. Look at the carelessness of the roads, no more and nothing. That you need to address those things. And that's what they're doing. All they're looking at percentage increase and percentage increase. They can't walk. And the Starbucks News say they're up on the road, but they're minding their own business. Where watch them? They're up on cell phone. And they're not looking after the traffic situation. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have one correction. I said earlier that you have 72 hours to produce your insurance. It is 5 days. One of the students reminded me that it's 5 days you have to produce your insurance for the vehicle. But when we talk about the traffic, I got to move off because we got to come on this the next day. But you can't be surprised as to what is going on in the road because you want leadership, you want direction. Listen to this. I'm going to play a part of this. Listen to what.
Good morning, Excellency. Good morning, viewers. As the Commissioner of Police, we are tasked with the responsibility of ensuring the roads are clear in terms of carnage. We are still seeing a lot of misrepresentation of driving, and we are still seeing carnages. And so, based on Your Excellency's outright position this morning, we're going to double back and we're going to put all the mechanisms in place. Drivers, you're going to see us, we're going to be working with you, and of course, who would have made mistakes in terms of proceeding in excess of 100 on the new highway, and this is the heroes I refer to. You're going to be dealt with first, the truck drivers. We're going to be coming after you, we're going to be putting you in order, and in fact, we're going to have retraining, we're going to have it redone. We have people went to the USA and they did the 5 days training. Immediately after the school weather would have concluded, we're going to do 2 weeks, and we're going to add that as part of the curriculum. And so drivers will be dealing with you as of today, throughout the season, and throughout next year.
See why you see what's going on? Misrepresentation of driving, and you get carnages, and you're waiting until the cold weather done to improve. That's a problem you have. Leadership is a big part of the problem. Leadership is a big part of the problem. Now, before I move on, we have what? I'm going to tell you a little overtime to their students. So call your parents and tell them that they got to wait outside for you a little longer. You have the numbers up here for those of you who want to make a contribution to this program. The Zelle, Cash App, MMG numbers are there. Please, we ask you for your kind donation so we can continue. Now, what I want to close with now is this same issue with social media activist Melly Mel. You know, Melly Mel is in the detention in the U.S. Up to now, we're not sure the facts, and I have said to you before, forget about all this speculation and so on. What we know is that Melly Mel is detained in the U.S. And this morning, this morning, today's Starbrook News talked about what they call a solidarity meeting that was held at the Square of the Revolution yesterday, right? They had a meeting there, and some of the propagandist people write a lot of crap, right? They write a lot of things. So much so that the Guyana Press Association was forced to issue a release today. Guyana Press Association forced to issue a release, and they said the Guyana Press Association condemns yet another action by the state-supported social media page Live in Guyana, aimed at discrediting journalists and members of the Guyana Press Association executive covering today's protests at the Square of the Revolution in support of online activist Melissa Atwell. The GPA continues to find the relentless and spurious reports from this page and others like it to be an insult to journalism and a distraction for the well-researched and ethical outlets and media professionals who work to deliver the truth to the Guyanese people. Well, enough of them, and more are going to come up. More are going to come up, right? The Guyana Daily News and all. They're propaganda. Understand this. They're going to spread the government propaganda. But again, I say to you, the fact that they are going after Melly Mel is an indication that they are worried about the truth. Melly Mel has been exposing various acts of corruption by government functionaries, including ministers of the government. They're not investigating the allegations made. They oscillate and they're going to try to deny that they're not involved because it's an immigration issue. Tell that to the Marines. That is BS, right? They're not doing that. But here, what these are facts. What the facts are. We bring in credible information to you, and I have taken this from Starbrook News. They say Older, that is our name, Melly Mel. Older is scheduled for a master hearing on June the 25th, 2025, at 8:30 a.m. before Judge Richard C. Coates, according to the Executive Office for Immigration Review Automated Case Information System. Ola, 31, who remains in the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that is ICE custody in Louisiana, has been the center of controversy due to our outspoken criticism of the People's Progressive Party, PPPC, government of Guyana and its leaders. Our activities, especially our attacks on the government officials, have sparked significant political tension, with many senior figures from the Guyana government condemning our conduct. Atwell's immigration status remains unclear. A master hearing is typically the first appearance a respondent makes before an immigration judge in removal proceedings. According to the Department of Justice, this hearing is primarily scheduling, pleading, and addressing procedural matters. It is not a trial, and decisions on the merits of the case are generally not made during this hearing. While it is standard for the respondent to appear before the judge to determine the next steps there has been no indication yet on whether Atwell is facing deportation. In the wake of our arrest, Atwell's family acknowledged on our behalf through our Facebook page our detention and call for public support. However, no official statement has been released by our legal team or any representative providing details about our detention, the grounds for it, or the specifics of our case. Sources suggest that an application for bond will be made soon. Atwell has become a polarizing figure in Guyana, with our frequent critiques of the PPPC government drawing the ire from officials. Legal actions have been initiated against her for libel in response to her accusations on social media. So we understand what is happening. She is due, they say, for a master's hearing on the 28th or the 25th of June. This article says that they're gonna be a bond hearing. Bond hearing, in my understanding, whether you're gonna be put on bail pending the outcome, all of these things. So when you hear the talking, because the come says she get deported and she's on a plane to come back, I see people say, Atwell done up on a plane and all them everything to come back. There is due process. There is due process. We don't know whether it's an immigration. I've heard a lot of things. Immigration, the fact that ICE was involved will suggest that it's an immigration issue. We heard too that Homeland Security was involved, which means that they have other things that they're dealing with. But with these propaganda people, well, we make the point. Let me read Psalms 35 for y'all. Weeping might endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. All of them jumping up. My story is simple. Atwell has been making some serious allegations about corruption in the government, naming people, providing what she claims to be evidence against these people. Then investigating them, but they're jumping up, investigating Atwell, filing proceedings and all this type of thing against her. And I am in full support of Atwell. I made a point on Monday. I might not be in agreement of the manner, some of the coarse language that she would use. She would use expletives. I'm not in agreement with that. But the corruption that she has pointed out, I agree with her for pointing out the corruption, because she don't only say the people are corrupt. She provide what is supposed to be evidence, statements, receipts, but then they investigate that. That's like the Sugate allegation made against the vice president about involvement in Sue. Or what did they do? No investigation, none. There has not been any investigation. And I have here put up the number. There's a GoFundMe account for people to subscribe to our legal defense. And I have here, this is a MMG. This is the mobile money for Guyana. This is the number there, 719-2508. So those of you who in Guyana and want to make a contribution to Atwell's defense, you can do so. Those of you who have access to the GoFundMe and so on, you can go and you can also make a donation to her. Because Atwell's fight is all of us fight. And let me remind you of the poem by Pastor Nehemiah. I have it somewhere. Remember, Pastor Nehemiah said, "First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me." So Atwell's fight is all of us fight. All of us. And we should give her full support. And what was said last night, I think, is by the leader of the opposition. We don't know if she's going to be deported. But if it is that she's sent back to Guyana, we should continue to show our support and make sure that she's safe. Because all the things I've been saying, remember, we get precedents. Krabi Wing protested, shot and killed 10 years ago. We get Waddle, who was a vocal person speaking out against corruption and so on in the government, shot and killed. So there are precedents that people who speak out to the government, they're killed. Those who weren't killed, they bring us out to trump up charges. they weaponizing the Cybercrime Act and all of those things. Right? So let's watch out for the sister. 31 years old, you know. Imagine a 31-year-old woman, all of them big money and things spending to bring her down. That is cowardly, in my view. That is cowardly. 31-year-old young woman. 31-year-old young woman. They are using the full force of the state resources to go after her. And again, because she's calling out corruption, any government who is against corruption would have embraced or at least get the evidence and ensure that a proper investigation is done to find out all those who are corrupt. But they're corrupt, all of them corrupt, so they can't go after corrupt. Marty no Marty business. So much so, as I've said, they banned the word corruption is banned in the parliaments of Guyana. You cannot use the word corruption in Guyana. So says the speaker, Mansour Nadir. Can't use corruption. If you're not corrupt, and let me tell you this, because back in the day, maybe before the sanction in particular, they used to tell you when you talk about corruption, must bring the evidence. And I said on this program repeatedly, that is not how it works. I wrote a letter in the newspaper to tell the president that is not how it works. When allegations are made, you have to do an investigation to find the evidence. Sometimes the person who's making the allegation might have the evidence to present. But if they don't present, that doesn't mean you're going to investigate. You have to investigate to find the evidence. But no, that's not what they're doing. They're telling you must bring the evidence. But they have changed. The tune changed now. Because the U.S. said they have evidence about government officials involved in corruption. And remember, the sanction wasn't against the Mohammeds alone that they're talking about. The permanent secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, a government functionary, was also sanctioned. And it is alleged that she's still there collecting salary. Because all it does is send her on administrative leave. Since then, she was elected to a high office in the PPP party. And they're talking about corruption. They're talking about who gets sanctioned and so on. Very selective memory they have. But we're going to call out. This program is about speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence. And I am not going to be, they can't frighten me. Right? I am not going to be fearful of speaking the truth. So that we understand it. But again, I say to you, as Psalms 35 say, weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. So all them who celebrating, oh God, Melly, what has she done? She point out corruption. Is that a crime? Is bringing corruption to the public's attention a crime? Isn't the corruption itself the crime? But no, not these people. And tomorrow afternoon, you're going to hear a story there. I tell you, I'm a sister to the mighty Duke. Woman Bacchanal. I can't sing too good in the short little thing. It was a big Bacchanal just the other day with the Neda and Shea Makume. You must listen to the song, man. Mighty Duke. It's on YouTube. You're going to hear them diplomatic views. Right? Y'all is me, you need you talking to when you were sick in the hospital, and then you may dress me nighty and all. Why you know what shame the Makume say? You didn't shame last week, Saturday. When your husband come home earlier instead, you have to hide the man underneath the bed. Yeah, listen to them song. Yo, in closing, let me bring in CC. I'll tell you how we're going to go a little over. Let me bring in CC for his closing remarks. And then I'm going to give you all your therapy. And then we're going to bow out. CC, your closing remarks.
Paul, I agree with you in terms of the points you raised about Melly Mel and the support that she needs to be given. But in my closing, I just want to get back to that accident, that fatal accident in Borbies, where superintendent was involved. I hold no brief for the guy who died. And also, again, back also to the Maikoni killing of 2 persons by the police, unlawful killing of 2 persons by the police. And I going back also to what the FBI embedded in me. And I want to again share it with any person who's going to investigate the death of a person, whether it's a homicide, whether it's a fatal accident or the death of a person. And let me read it again. No greater honor will ever be bestowed on an officer or a more profound duty imposed on him than when he's instructed with the investigation of the death of a human being. It is his duty to find the facts, regardless of color or creed, without prejudice, and let no power on earth deter him from presenting these facts to the court without regards to personality. It's by Arthur Westbeaver, and it's coming from his manual, Managing Death Investigation. That's what I want to leave to those persons who want to investigate death, whether it's a fatal accident or a homicide or they did some death of somebody. Remember, you're investigating the death of a human being. And let no power on earth deter you from presenting these facts to the court without regards to personality. And that's why I wish to close out this afternoon.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Coming back to the Melly issue, they had a solidarity meeting yesterday, and it was indicated that they're going to meet again next Tuesday. Again, I urge you all to give your support. Those of you can support financially. And again, let me put up the numbers here, MMG or GoFundMe. Those of you who cannot support, at least turn up. Show your presence will be support. Now, let me, again, I say to you, we have those of you who want to make a contribution to this program, please do so. Please do so. And I'm not going to deny you your therapy. I'm not going to, but I have a surprise for you guys, because this is the therapy now for today. Here we go.
You who are out there, if they come, we got to shoot and scoot. And shoot good and scoot. And keep shooting and scooting until help arrives.
Shoot and scoot. That's the therapy. Today's part of the therapy. You got to shoot and scoot. People are asking me, I'm going to tell me, say, you're a marksman. And why is shooting and scooting? Well, I know about the shooting part, but I know about the scooting part. And a marksman shoot straight. So if you want to know what scooting, you got to ask Ben. Marksman shoot straight. If you want about scooting, you got to ask Ben. And it's interesting to know whether the National Security Advisor agrees with Ropes and Men that when they come, let me play it back in the last 16 seconds.
You who are out there, if they come, we got to shoot and scoot. And shoot good and scoot. And keep shooting and scooting until help arrives.
You got to shoot and scoot. Shoot and scoot. Keep shooting and keep scooting. I got to find out exactly. Perhaps I can ask Jerry Govai, the National Security Advisor, because I don't know the tactic. I don't know of that tactic. Folks, we have come to the end of today. We had so much to tell you. We have so much more to tell you, but, you know, we don't want to keep you any much longer. Again, to encourage you to be safe. Got to encourage you to be safe. And if you got to scoot, make sure you scoot good. And make sure you got to keep shooting and scooting. Find out what it is. Maybe the squatter or somebody can tell you exactly what is shooting and scooting. And keep shooting and keep scooting until help arrives. So, again, let's close here today. And let me say to you, to encourage you to be safe. Be safe. We talk about the accidents, and there's so many other dangers daily in Guyana. Be safe, folks. Be safe. And that is all I can ask you to be. Continue to support Melly Mel, because the battle is not about Melly Mel alone. It's about freedom of speech, freedom of expression for all of us. Right? She, a 31-year-old woman, has taken up the mantle to fight against corruption, to identify and highlight corruption. And therefore, we must be able there to, we must support her. We must support her. We have a moral duty to support Melly Mel in this fight against corruption. So, folks, today is Wednesday. Our next scheduled program is on Monday. Well, you know how it goes. If things come up and we need to come to bring to tell you, we're gonna come. We have things piling up again, so maybe very soon we got to do a third program to make sure that all of these things, we haven't spoken about the Venezuelan issue. There's a lot to talk about there. We have some other issues that we have not addressed. And therefore, as I said, subscribe to the channel so that you can get a notification whenever we decide to come and to bring you a program. Until then, until whenever we reach, stay safe, and stay well, and bye.